The thing is, the presentation will go for like 15 minutes, maximum 15 minutes, right? So at the end of 12th minute, I will give you some signal like this or something, make some noise. And at the end of 14 minutes, I will tell you that cut it off in 1 minute. Okay? No, I will better not talk. I will make another noise, similar noise. So you know that you have another 1 minute left. So you have to finish in 1 minute. In that way. Okay, and after 15-minute presentation, you will have to, there will be question and answer. The question and answer, I will ask question, I can ask anyone. I will call the name to ask the question, and that student will reply a response to that question. So nobody wants to go first, yeah? So why don't we start from alphabetically? It's better, it's fair for everyone. No, if I start alphabetically, then the other groups, they know that they can have some time for preparation. So to be fair to everyone, I will randomly pick some group to start the presentation. Okay, so now solar group, you have 2 minutes to prepare and start doing the presentation. Okay. I don't know how's the better way to do this, show you guys. So for solar, it is Adin, Faja, and I don't know how to pronounce the name. Tit. So you guys are ready?
Not really. She's having some problem with her laptop.
Oh,
Basha.
okay. But Vaja is not here. Is he or she? She's not connected to that Teams.
That's why I'm asking if Steph is going to present on these Teams, but not sure yet. So not really.
Okay, I think by the time they are fixed, we can go to another group. Is okay? Done? I mean, okay, now she's. Okay, so hydropower. Go to hydropower. Ahmed Karim, Adian, and Alvin. Huh?
I don't know what.
So he never.
It's just being
From the very beginning.
We tried to get in touch with him, but we couldn't.
So why didn't you inform me earlier? Many times I say any problem you have, you never tell me anything. Okay, so there are 2 students only for hydropower, Ahmed and Arjian. So who will be sharing the slide?
I will, sir.
Okay, please. All right, it's great. Everyone see, yeah? Yes.
Wait, can Ahmed hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, man, I can hear you.
Hello, everyone. Today, me, Adyan, and Ahmed are going to present to you hydropower. First off, let me give you the definition of hydropower. Hydropower or water power is the use of boiling or fast-running water to produce electricity. End of definition. Next slide. No. Yes, that's slide. So how do we get hydropower? Well, using a hydropower plant. For the example here, we have a hydroelectric dam that works. So water comes in through the penstock, which spins the turbine, and then from the turbine it generates electricity from the generator. That's basically it. It's not our. Usually dams are built on a riverside and are headed downwards to allow water to move with gravity rather than pumps. Yes. Next slide. Furthermore, in the dam we have a control gate to control how much water enters the penstock, how much electricity is being generated. Also, if you don't already know, hydropower is a renewable energy source because it relies on the water cycle, which is driven by the sun, making it renewable. Next slide. Types of hydropower plants. So you probably thought there were only like one hydropower plant, which is the impoundment facility, which is the one I talked about earlier, the most common one. But there are 2 more. We have diversion, which is at the top right, and pump storage, which is here. Next slide. So we have the diversion facility for the hydropower plant. So this is basically what it looks like. So the impoundment facility uses the whole river, but for diversion, it only takes a portion of the river. Hence the name. A diversion facility channels a portion of the river through a canal or a penstock to utilize the natural decline of the riverbed elevation to produce energy. A penstock is a closed conduit that channels the flow of water to turbines with water flow regulated by gates, valves, and turbines. A diversion may not require the use of dam. So this one doesn't have a dam. This one has. It's optional. Next slide. Now we have pump storage hydropower. This one, it's like a rechargeable battery, right? So when the electricity demand is low, which means there's more than enough electricity for everyone in town, it pumps up the water to the upper reservoir. So when electricity demand is low, it means there's not enough electricity. It lets the water back down, spinning the turbine and generating electricity. So everyone gets electricity. There's 2 types. There's one where it's from the upper reservoir to the lower reservoir, and then this one uses like a lake, or a river. That's it. Now that's it from me. Now my friend Ahmed will continue the rest of the slides. Yes.
Thank you, Adrian.
Okay, how is he gonna talk?
Yeah, he can talk.
Can I hear it?
Not everybody can listen, yeah, but you keep talking. I try to.
Can you hear me now?
I can.
Okay. So now how does hydropower compare to fossil fuels? Unlike fossil fuel, hydropower is a renewable energy. Furthermore, hydropower is
Stop. No one can hear you.
Huh?
Wait, can everyone hear?
Not everybody can hear.
okay.
Use the speaker. Use the speaker. The speaker. There's a speaker there.
Mhm.
There's a speaker there. Oh no, you can hear.
Can you talk now?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Speaker doesn't work still. That's the maximum that can view. There's no other speaker, yeah? No, you can talk. I will ask
Okay,
the question.
Okay, so how does hydropower compare to fossil fuel? Unlike fossil fuels, hydropower is a renewable energy. Furthermore, hydropower does not release any harmful gases such as nitrogen oxide into the atmosphere, which in turn through fossil fuel is a cause of global warming. Furthermore, some experts believe that within an estimate of 30 years, hydropower will deplete most of the fossil fuels used today. Now, how does the energy resource used? So the energy resource is used from using an upper reservoir that passes down water to a lower reservoir, which applies motion to turbines that are connected to generators. These turbines create kinetic energy, which is later converted to electrical energy. This electrical energy is then transferred to houses, businesses, and industries through cables. In Malaysia, there are several plants, some of which producing between 40.5 megawatts all the way to 2,400 megawatts. The largest plant, current hydroelectrical plant in Malaysia is Bakun Hydroelectricity Plant, located in Sarawak. It is also the largest dam in Malaysia with a width of 750 meters and standing at a height of 205. The output of this hydroelectrical plant is 2,400 megawatts. Now, what are the advantages and disadvantages of hydroelectrical energy? The benefits are that it generates electricity cleanly. Water can also be controlled to avoid flooding and support irrigation, and it could also be used to make clean water. However, on the downside, some people have to migrate and move to other areas. It's also very expensive. There is a limit to some of the reservoirs, and it is not 100% safe, as animals and fish could get injured or killed in the process. Now, what is the future like, speaking in the terms of Malaysia? Malaysia is looking to plan and build more hydroelectrical dam plants in the future. Currently in Malaysia, there are two dams that are in construction. Popper Dam project in East Malaysia and Nigeri Dam in Gua Musang in Western Malaysia. What does the community think about this resource? Overall, there's a very mixed response. Some people are in favor of hydroelectrical plants, however, some are not. Usually those who are in favor are have the interest of the electricity, job opportunities. However, those who are opposed and against hydropower plants are usually those who tend to have to move away or relocate due to the construction of a hydropower plant. Thank you very much.
That's it.
Okay,
Good. Thank you. Thank you for this. Thank you.
okay, so for the question, yeah, right. For the, anybody has question? Anyone has any question? No question. I know. What is the question? So, Adrian, you mentioned that it is a sun-driven, derived from the driven from the sun. What does it mean?
Like the water cycle.
Yeah, something like that.
Sun evaporates the water.
Okay.
The water cycle.
Oh, so you mentioned about the water cycle, that is evaporation, and then it again the clouds become the rain again. Okay, good. And then for your, can you go to that slide again? What Adian was showing. Up, another one before this, I think. Yeah, here. There are two things that you are showing, that one is dam, there is no other, and another was no dam. What does it mean?
No, it's just one that has no dam, one has, but one has no dam, one has a dam.
So if there is no dam,
So how can you produce electricity?
It-
First of all, why do you need a?
It doesn't need a dam.
So how? Okay. What is the science behind producing electricity from water? How do we produce electricity from the water?
The water spins a turbine, then turbine
To
generates
produce the
electricity.
turbine, to
The generator,
rotate the turbine, what do you have? Just pour the water, can we just pour the water into the turbine?
it needs like force.
Yeah, how do the force generate it? How do you create that force?
Force
Why does it have to be high, very high?
needs the potential energy,
Potential energy.
kind of potential energy, spin the turbine, kinetic
Okay,
energy,
it's good. That's what I'm asking.
electrical energy.
Potential energy you need. And then if you're talking the potential energy, you have to have a very big potential energy to produce big electricity, right?
Okay.
So can you make a small scale dam? Will it be useful if you make a small scale dam?
If you want to light like a single light bulb, I don't know.
Yeah. A single light bulb, a single house. Can you make a dam like that?
Yeah, but why though?
Hmm?
Why?
No. The question is not why.
Oh,
It's yes or no.
oh yes,
You can.
yes.
Okay, good. Will it be sustainable?
Yeah, it's sustainable. It doesn't release any harmful gas.
Huh?
Anything like that. It doesn't release any like harmful gas. It's clean.
Okay. So what are the things that you have to consider for producing a dam, to build a dam?
The height difference. If there's a river or not.
The dam does not depend on the river. Hydropower dam doesn't depend on the river. Mostly, it depends on the geography. If you do not have the high altitude, you cannot produce a dam from the river. You have to have a very big encroachment, only then the water you can retain it. So the geography is very important.
All right.
And what are the other considerations you will make during producing a dam?
I'm not sure.
You did the research on it, and then you're not sure?
Everything on the slides was my research.
Sorry?
Everything on the slides was my research.
Everything on?
On the slides was my research.
Yeah, so you should be able to say, because you have done the slide, right, by yourself.
Yeah. Not by myself, but with others.
Yeah, so you're supposed to know whatever you put on the slide, because you are presenting it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it is your responsibility that you put whatever you put on the slide. It's up to you to know. Or well, if you have not produced it, then why you're taking the responsibility of showing it? Right? If you have not produced that slide, then why you are taking the responsibility of showing it or presenting it for others?
Are you saying I didn't make the slides?
I'm saying that you said that everything on the slide, right?
Yeah.
So you should be able to know that what you have put on the slide.
Maybe I forgot or something.
Huh?
For forgetting.
What you forgetting?
Maybe.
I'm not clear. I'm not sure. I mean, it's a bit confusing. You are not sure whether you're forgetting. Now do you appreciate now that many times I say that I will be on Wednesday? If you have any question, come and ask. Do you regret now? At least regret. When we lecturers say that I'm available now, please come and ask question. You should take the opportunity, not only for me, anyone, because we are busy. We are keeping some time for you. Come and discuss, and you are so busy that you don't know. That is the reason. I can ask many questions, but
Yeah, I have to ask some other question to, thank you, Tadian. Okay, so. Go and sit. Ahmed,
Yes,
you
sir.
there? Yes. So you recommended some of the things. Can you go to your slide, that problem and recommendation? Go down, go down. Scroll down, please. More, more, more. Yeah, there. Yes. So benefits and problem. Benefits is generating electricity cleanly. What do you mean by cleanly?
Without causing any harmful substances.
What are the harmful substances that can be considered?
Harmful substances that could be considered would be dangerous gases such as nitrogen oxide that would be generated by fossil fuels in comparison.
Any other gases will not be considered dangerous, like methane or carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide.
Those also would be considered dangerous, sir.
So this hydro power, they do not produce those type of gases, is it?
Usually, no. Only in some situations where they use a small generator to redirect water to a different location, such as taking it back up the reservoir. Then yes, it would sometimes cause some harmful substances.
No. What is that? Taking back the water up onto to the dam again, or what?
There are some situations where waters are retransferred from a lower reservoir to an upper reservoir to avoid flooding. And in that case scenario, usually that tends to, I think they use diesel generators in this process. Although sometimes they do use proper electrical generators.
Do you have any example of such activities?
Not in the slides, but a while back I did talk to a gentleman over here who built a dam in Pakistan, and he talked about a small dam that they're currently constructing that is using such systems just to keep things in control.
No, but did you fact check about his or her claim that you talked to?
Yes, sir. They are working with the authorities of Pakistan, and they are the gentleman is currently retired, but he used to work with the authorities of Pakistan and is still a consultant for the building of hydropower in Pakistan.
How did you fact check about that? Because if you want to transfer a dam, hydro electricity dam, do you know how much water? What do you call it? Typically, a hydropower dam contain?
A very massive amount usually, but the case that he spoke to me of is during the construction of a water dam, because usually during construction there's a lot of factors of water movement. So he explained to me that during this process, sometimes they require diesel generators to keep water either moving from a lower region to a higher region, especially during the monsoon season where it does rain over here heavily and it does cause severe flooding. So they do that to avoid floodings.
The movement of water is not only for the hydropower dam, it can be for any other building as well.
True.
Yeah, so I'm not saying about that process, but you said that creating cleanly. So I'm saying that water producing, electricity producing cleanly. So will there be any gases produced from there? You say no. But if you do a little bit more research, you would see that it produces some gases actually as well, because the vegetation, it goes under the water during the high water level. Sometimes it rises up. That produces quite many types of different gases from that degradation of those organic product. All right, so any other problems? It says that it can displace some people. True, expensive. It's true, but the return of the cost return is quite good because you are building this to you as well. You are not building it for 1 month, 1 year, 10 years, it's for 50 years, right? And for 50 years, you are serving millions of people. So yeah, it is, in that sense, it is not that expensive. Trust up cost expensive. There's a limit
there is a limit reservoir. What does it mean? The water
So
reservoir. Yeah,
the water reservoirs, there are limit to water reservoirs. So
Yeah,
it limit.
that's why you cannot build the dam to everywhere, in every way, all the places.
Yes, sir.
Not always safe for animal, fish can, no, that is not even a problem. Okay, so another thing is, have you considered that you are producing a dam, building up a dam? What will be the total mass of that dam? I got half an hour gone. What will be the total mass of the dam? And if that dam breaks sometimes due to the earthquake or any other unfortunate thing, what is the consequences for those? You did not consider as well. So there are quite, I can see that there are quite much lacks in your research. You should have some more, I think, in this. Anyway, but thank you very much for your presentation. It was quite nice. The slides were nice. And yeah, all the best.
Thank you very much.
So your group is ready now? Huh? All right, so big hands for this hydropower. And then we will go to solar now. Speaker, Epson projector. So this projector does not have a speaker. I turn on everything. No. Sorry? Why? Battery? Okay, okay. After this, I will give you a chance to. I don't know how to set up this. It doesn't work anyway. So yes, who is going to share the slide for you? Hello. HTT, you never clarify what is what should we call you, so I don't know how to call it. So you are going to share your slide, yeah? Hello. Okay, so yeah, you can start. Who is going first? Okay.
Hello, everyone.
Your time starts now.
For this presentation, we will be presenting you solar power, and here are the group members. This is the table of the contents. The first part of the slide is the introduction to solar power. The second slide will be the usage of the solar power and its pros and cons, and the third slide will include solar power future and opinion around it. Before we go, we need to know what is solar power. Solar power is energy from the sun that is converted into thermal or electrical energy. How can it be converted? Solar energy can be converted through photovoltaic panels or mirrors, and sunlight is converted into electrical energy. For the raw materials needed, the panels for converting solar energy is mainly made out of silicon in order to make into a semiconductor to absorb sunlight. There are three primary technologies by which solar energy is harnessed. These include photovoltaic, PV, concentrating solar power, CSP, and solar heating and cooling system, SHC. PV will directly convert light into electricity. The CSP will use the heat from the sun to drive the utility scale and electric turbines. And SHC will collect the thermal energy to provide hot water and heating and conditioning. Energy changes occur. The solar panels have two types of semiconductors, these being positive type or the P type, the negative type or the N type. When activated, the electrons will move from the N type to the P type, then a junction is formed. When sunlight is shown on the junction, this will cause a hole due to proton knocking the electron free. The hole is filled by more electrons, which means free electrons are collected, and they flow through the conductor, so the electrical contact current is formed. So is solar energy renewable? Solar energy is in fact renewable, and in fact, the US have the most solar energy resources in the world. This is because the sun will always produce light energy. Malaysia's solar energy profile. Malaysia and ASEAN have been hesitant to deploy solar and other renewable energy production capabilities. Renewable energy only represent for 2% of Malaysia's total power producing capacities. Looking ahead, things appear to be brighter, and by 2030, Malaysia's government wants to renewable to account for half the country's electricity producing capacity. Global use of solar power. Globally, solar power utilization is constantly increasing over the world, and the future is looking bright for solar power usage. In 2021, the solar energy usage rose by 23% around the world. This includes the US, Germany, Japan, and India, which are the top 5 solar power using countries, with China in first position. The rest of the globe is catching up, but some other nations do have difficulties with the utilization of solar energy as a source of energy. Simply said, some of them don't get enough sunlight, plus they cannot generate enough energy just by using solar panels, while some other nations cannot utilize solar power due to their high cost. Now this is the other nations. They use the most electricity from solar. The advantages of using solar power will save water, which is essential for both flora and fauna survival. Solar energy will help minimize our carbon emission issues. It also helps to minimize our reliance on fossil fuel. So this will also help us with global warming. During transit, there's no little energy cost. Electricity grid security will also be improved, and it will also likely to have a positive economic impact. For disadvantages, it is very dependent on sunlight. As we already gone through, some countries do not have access to sunlight. They can be toxicity of some solar panels, and it requires large installation areas, and energy storage can be expensive. And finally, the lifespan of solar panels may not be less long. Global warming and solar power. One of the most pressing issues that is confronting us today is global warming. And the only method to mitigate that negative consequences of both the climate change and global warming is to cut the carbon emission. Solar energy is a great method to cut the carbon emission. This is because solar power is one of very few sources to not contribute to global warming and do not emit large amounts of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere or the environment. This is the amount, the carbon dioxide emission by energy source. Number 3. The future of solar power of Malaysia. Many Malaysian citizens today are aware of solar energy and the benefits.
Hello, mate. Are you going to present all, or your group members will also present something? Huh?
Yes, they will take the next slide.
Sorry? Hello, what do you say?
They'll take the next slide, sir.
Okay, so.
At first, the mic wasn't working.
I'll take the rest, basically.
Okay, please continue then.
Malaysian citizens today are aware of solar energy and the benefits that it could bring for Malaysia's increasing demand for electricity as the economy grows, shown by the results of a survey done in 2018 and 2019. Although we are aware of the distinct benefits of solar energy, many Malaysians are reluctant when confronting the high costs because of the component of silicon in building a solar panel. In general, most Malaysians agree that to change the solar energy is necessary to accommodate the growth of our economy. Next slide.
Next slide, please. Who is controlling the slide? Hello, Miak. Yeah. Next slide. Yeah, this is the slide.
The one before that.
Previous slide.
Okay. The Malaysian government is already in the process of making our energy used into a renewable resource. Other large corporations believe that in 3 years' time, 31% of Malaysia's energy will be renewable and 40% in the year 2035. An ongoing LLS program started in September of 2021, consisting of 3 separate joint projects of solar power, aimed to construct and implement 3 solar parks. A large solar plant, if viewed from above, would look like a grid of mirrors, which are dark blue. One of these solar parks will be stationed in Selangor, and 2 others will be located in Perak. Next slide. This is a picture of a solar park in Okayama Prefecture, Japan, 2016. The current largest solar park is in Bandla, India. which spans 14,000 acres of land. Next slide. Reasons why Malaysia can't switch to solar power immediately. It is widely known that, especially by those who live in Malaysia, that our country is very hot, being close to the equator, and that we have more than enough sun. Taking advantage of this to switch to solar panel power seems obvious, right? Malaysia's weather is not as suitable for solar energy as we would like. Solar energy works on light intensity, not heat intensity. Specifically, the power from the sun that knocks the electrons into a current that we can harness. The weather in neighboring countries like Australia, where the sunlight is reportedly blinding throughout summer, is much more efficient than the skies of Malaysia. Another issue is the financial state of our government due to, next slide.
2 minutes.
Why solar power? Solar power is likely to be the main renewable energy that sustains power for mankind's foreseeable future for many reasons, of which are the sun shall continue to radiate solar energy for the next many millions of years. Solar energy doesn't produce any air pollutants, which could lead to global warming. We can, next slide. Thank you for your attention.
Please, good. So what happened to the student budget?
I'm not sure. I think maybe you couldn't access her mic or something because of lag.
But she used to have a meeting with you guys every week. She did, which part she?
She did
prepared.
part 2,
Huh?
which instead me at read instead of her.
Okay, so Miat, can you go scroll up to your slides that you presented, advantage and disadvantages of that slide? Yeah. You said here the electricity grid security will improve, positive economic impact, and solar helps minimize our reliance on fossil fuel. Yeah, we understand. Saves water. The first one, saves water, which is essential for the flora and the fauna's survival. How and why? Can you hear? Hello, HTET, MYT, Met? Hello, can you hear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, what does it mean? Saves flora and faunas by saving the water?
I didn't do this.
How does it improve the security, grid security? Can you go to the next slide? Depends on sunlight, toxicity of solar panels. What does it mean? Toxicity of solar panels, expensive energy storage. What does it mean?
I didn't do this part of the slide.
You didn't do this part?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then go.
It's Baja.
Okay, then scroll up, please. Go up, scroll up. Yeah, there are two types, positive type and negative type. What are these positive type, negative type?
They are semiconductor.
Okay, so why it is related here? How it is related here? P type, N type.
Um,
Okay, so and okay, general question is, did you show any area in Malaysia or in Sarawak that will be beneficial from the solar panel?
sorry?
In Malaysia, which area would be benefited from this using solar panel? It's too cold, then can you turn on?
So can you say that again?
No. In which area in Malaysia you will install this system and why?
I will say maybe the rural areas, considering that they don't have usually don't have energy supplies that we do, and rural areas already have been dependent on sunlight. So I'll say rural areas.
Okay. So if you want to, if you're looking for installing the solar panel, what are the things that you'll consider first? I mean, what are the things that you should be considered? The most important thing?
The most important thing.
Yep.
So, so it's the question on.
Yeah, if you want to install the solar panel, let's say that you are going to install solar panel in your place, in your hometown. What is the thing that you will consider installing?
I'll say the cost.
Sorry?
The cost.
Cost, okay.
Yes.
But I think whether you have enough sun throughout the year, that would be the most important thing. If you do not have sun, no point of installing the solar panel.
I'm not sure about in Malaysia, but in my country, usually we get very sunny throughout the both in monsoon and summer season.
Yeah, that's the thing. I wanted you to do some research at very sunny means how sunny. I mean, there should be some values that whether it is sustainable, enough sun, enough heat for producing the energy. Okay, thank you to you, but to you that if you want to install the solar panel, what are the drawbacks in Sarawak?
Well, in Sarawak, I believe we had a lot of unused land, so I'm not sure what drawbacks we would have. I mean, there is restrictions to the amount of sunlight that we can produce, but I don't understand what do you mean by the drawbacks.
What are the negative effect we will have?
Negative effects. I don't believe there are any negative effects to solar power. It doesn't produce any gases that could lead to global warming. And once it's built, it runs on its own, it's a renewable energy source that runs on the sun. I mean, in Sarawak, as I said, we have a lot of unused land, so we could build it anywhere where the weather is perfect for it. But in larger countries, I believe land is a more pressing issue on, like the location of future prospect buildings and stuff like that.
But from the solar panel, is it really sustainable to produce the energy that we need in daily life, the air pump, the fridge, the
big machineries. Will it be able to produce electricity for those things?
I mean, people have claimed to place solar panels on their roof and it sustains their whole house.
What is,
Living the wrong
have
houses.
you researched what is the conversion rate of electricity from solar panel? What is the efficiency from solar panel?
I mean, the efficiency would change depending on each country, right? Like on
No,
the
no, no.
map there,
It doesn't change in the country, it doesn't change in the solar panel.
on the solar panel.
So what is the maximum efficiency so far? Have you searched?
Well, I assume that
Not,
Yeah.
even on your assumption, the fact. Have you searched?
I have not researched the conversion rate of electricity depending on, you know, the size of the solar panel.
Yes, that means, if not, then it will be difficult for you to estimate the whole
Yeah.
price, right? Or whole amount that will be needed. So whether it is sustainable for installing it, you are also not sure then.
I mean, whether it's sustainable is, I mean, solar energy is really only dependent on the, what the weather is like. If it's cloudy or not, if it is brighter than certain countries. Like you saw on the graph just now, Australia was red, which I believe means it produces the highest out of like all of the other nations. And Malaysia, like, I believe West Malaysia was like slightly darker on the graph, but our side of Malaysia, it doesn't produce that much sunlight, so.
No, it doesn't depend on the, I mean, that graph does not, doesn't mean that because in some of the northern region country, they are also red, I saw.
Yeah.
And if you see in Africa, where the most of sun throughout the year, there are deserts, there is nothing, there is no, I mean, it doesn't mean that it
That
doesn't
must
produce.
be a financial issue, I assume.
Yeah, that is one factor.
Yeah, because
So it's not only depending on the sun, there are other factors as well.
the sun is the only thing that's affecting the efficiency that.
No, efficiency not from the sun, efficiency. Produce the solar panel,
I guess.
yes. Okay, so thank you very much for your presentation. So we'll move to the next one then, to, yeah, you go first, yes. What is that, biogas, is it?
Sir, it's me, Bahja.
What is that?
I'm Bahja, sir.
Yeah, so where did you go?
My mic just stopped. I really apologize. But if I can't redo my part, I can answer the questions.
No, not now, but I think I will ask you to present your part later on. I will find a time for that.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
Okay, so biomass, yes, continue, please.
Are you waiting for Francis? You went to the toilet.
Who will go first? You, Francis?
Me was.
You can go first, no problem. Let him come.
Yeah, it's fine. So we go. How about you share the space first? You share the space, please.
Okay, so biomass.
So I start.
Biomass is going down. After that, there are two, yeah, nuclear and wind. Okay,
How do you use this?
yes, that's good.
But we are not using this, you're using this.
Yeah, we'll be using this one, but you can still,
Use this.
yes, you can put it there. Put there. Okay, or you can put it there. Okay, so your time starts now.
Right, good afternoon, everyone, and Mr. Basu. Today we will be presenting about biomass, and this presentation is done by Ian Chu, Francis Shupikli, and me, Yuju. So first and foremost, I will be introducing about biomass. What is biomass? Biomass refers to organic substances that come from plants and animal wastes. And next, what is biomass energy? Biomass energy refers to the chemical energy which is stored in the form of glucose by plants during photosynthesis. And this energy can be burned to produce heat and also be converted to electricity. And the most common biomass materials used for energy are plants such as corn and soy. And there are 4 ways to process biomass in order to generate electricity, which are direct firing, coal firing, pyrolysis, and also gasification. All right, these ways are also considered as thermal conversion, meaning the using of heat to turn biomass into usable energy. Okay. Was it so laggy?
Sorry.
Okay, all right, okay. So before direct firing and coal firing, there's a chemical process called torrefaction, either to be carried out, where the biomass is being heated with temperature up to 200 to 300 degrees Celsius, where the biomass become dry blackened material and then being compressed to become briquettes. As you can see from the image here, this black material here is the biomass briquettes, and it contains high energy density and is easily to be burned during direct firing and also coal firing. Next. So in direct firing, we skip this process because this is for the biomass briquettes, and the biomass briquettes is being burned in this furnace, and the heat produced is being absorbed by the boiler on top of this, and the heat will turn the water into steam, and the steam will be transported to the turbine to turn the turbine in order to generate electricity. Next. For coal firing, it will be almost the same as the direct firing during the generating electricity part. However, the only different part is this, where both biomass and also fossil fuels are being burned, as the biomass only act as a substitution to a portion of fossil fuels. As for pyrolysis, this is a process to turn biomass into liquid fuel, and during pyrolysis, the biomass is being burned with temperature up to or above 500 degrees Celsius to turn biomass into pyrolysis oil or biofuel. And this pyrolysis oil can be used as a substitution for fossil fuels or diesel. For fossil fuels or diesels for electricity generation. And gasification is the process to turn biomass into gas fuel. In gasification, there are 3 important steps. Firstly, gasification, of course, which is to turn biomass into gas, and 2, gasification, gas purification, which is to remove the impurities such as ash and tar from the gas, and then lastly, gas power generation, where the gas fuel is being burned to generate, to produce heat and turns water into steam, and to turn the steam turbine to generate electricity. All right, no need, this one skip. Okay, so the overall energy transformation would be first chemical energy, which is in the biomass, burned to produce heat energy, and then the heat energy turns water into steam, and the steam turns the steam turbine, which are considered as kinetic energy, and then electricity is being produced. Therefore, it will be considered as electrical energy. And is biomass a renewable or non-renewable energy? Biomass actually can be both renewable or non-renewable energy, depends on the situation. When the quantity available of biomass is greater than the usage of biomass, then biomass will be considered as a renewable energy source. However, vice versa. All right, that's all of my presentation, and the next one will be Shu.
Hello everyone. So we'll run through the usage with Malaysia and we're going to So in Malaysia, we have a large resource of biomass as well as wood waste, but this resource hasn't yet been exploited to full capacity. In 2017, it was labeled to have produced biodiesel about 702 kilotons. And so you know, Malaysia is ranked the 2nd largest producer of palm oil. Palm oil could also be used to produce biomass as an energy source. According to this man Erickson, in Zambia, about 70% of the population uses this biomass for heating and for cooking in the households. And because of that, there's rise in deforestation. And yeah, we're well aware that 85% of the urban households would use this for cooking, heating, and most of the times in rural areas. As you can see in this picture, I'm not sure if it's very clear of how it's used in the form of charcoal. Charcoal is obtained from wood biomass. The discovery was made that in 2006, biomass reported 80% of, comprised 80% of the total usage of energy in the world. So in the world, most usage of biomass is by African countries, with the exception of Haiti, Nepal, Myanmar, Cambodia. Yes, but most of the countries that use this biomass on a day-to-day basis are African countries, with the highest being Ethiopia. And in most of these countries, rural areas recorded a higher usage of this biomass in the form of wood. And in Sudan and Haiti, Nepal, it's also used on a small scale in industries such as sawmills, sugar mills, and tobacco curing. So some of the reasons why some countries are not using this resource are financial reasons, because they need technology as well as large land for preparation of this biomass, as well as storage and transportation of the biomass. Environmental laws and regulations that are not favorable to the use of biomass as a renewable resource, and also fines and penalties that are lenient towards the use of fossil fuels. Belief of politicians or key decision makers believe that fossil fuels are still a resource that we still need to use in the world, and have not seen the benefits of biomass as a renewable resource of energy. Lack of natural renewable resources. Some countries are not well established with the resources such as plants and animals, which could be used to produce this biomass as energy. And so they wouldn't exploit it to that level. As an example, my country, most of it is just used for household basis. And even with that, there's still a lot of deforestation that's coming up from it. Subsidies for and protectionism of fossil fuels. So this ties politicians as well. So the politicians, people who are leading our countries, are protecting the use of fossil fuels and not empowering the use of biomass. Thank you. That's all for me. Now to here.
Thank you. Thank you, Shruti. Sorry. Today I'll be presenting about the benefits and drawbacks of using biomass. Next slide. So let's start with comparing it to fossil fuel, because biomass and fossil fuel fills out a similar role. Fossil fuel, as we all know, is now a renewable energy in certain cases. Because of that, it's actually available in infinite sums. Because its waste is located in many industries, such as agriculture, the practice of cultivating livestock and plants, arboriculture, the practice of cultivating trees and shrubs, and aquaculture, the practice of cultivating marine animals and also marine plants. Did you know that biomass energy is actually more cleaner than using fossil fuel? This is a point that I'll later explain, and because of that, it release less greenhouse gases, also known as GHG, than fossil fuel. Biomass is also cheaper in price than fossil fuel. Next slide. So, does biomass help to reduce the effects of global warming? Now we must go back to the next slide. So, according to the not the previous, the next one. Yeah. So according to the Eurovia, also known as the Europe Biomass Industry Association, this is the data they acquired from it. It is stated over here. This shows the quantity of CO2 gained by burning it, which is mostly over here will be fossil fuel, This will be done by gaining from biomass, which is done by heat sources, and this would be gained for electricity. This is a comparison. So it's found that if we use biomass, we actually save a total of 3.3 million tons of GHG emissions, while when converting biomass to heat energy, and a total and an average of 2.5 for electricity from biomass to electricity energy. So go back to the next slide, to the previous slide. So another thing about biomass is that it's actually carbon neutral, which means that the carbon dioxide released by biomass is actually the same rate as consumption of carbon dioxide by the plants. Therefore, biomass actually has the potential to contribute less emissions of greenhouse gases to the earth, and therefore doesn't rise in temperature as much as fossil fuels. So we go to the next two slides. But not even though biomass has a lot of benefits, we also need to consider the health and safety issues with biomass. One thing about biomass is that it produces a lot of methane gas. High exposure of it consists of mood swings, trouble speaking, headaches, vomiting, memory loss, and blurred visions. Not all that environment is also important to consider, as biomass actually affects the nature through deforestation. Large consumption of wood, which is one of biomass major source, will be considered, which needs to be diverse, and also carbon inside the soil. As much as carbon neutral is a thing, this means that carbon dioxide in the air will be still sustained, but not on the soil. So therefore, some species such as fungus and bacteria may go extinct and will eventually harm the ecosystem. Another thing is that it consumes a lot of spaces for plants, foundation for biomass-specific plants. I will now pass this opportunity to Francis to speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Ian. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Francis, and today I'll be briefing you all about the Malaysian community thoughts on biomass as a renewable energy source. First off, what do Malaysians think of biomass as a renewable source of energy? In a research done by Kazi and their fellow researchers, it was found that most Malaysians are aware that biomass is a renewable source of energy, and they're also concerned about climate change. However, it is difficult for the community to accept biomass as an alternative energy source, as renewable target energies are extremely expensive. Moving on, as the palm oil industry is greatly disturbed with residues in large amounts, excess energy sourced from palm oil mills are connected to the national grid. Besides that, our country is strongly encouraging the use of palm diesel to replace fossil fuels. Lastly, our government has already implemented the biopolicy framework to promote the usage of fossil fuels. Secondly, what are the factors to consider if we were to adopt biomass in a large scale? As Malaysia is still mostly surrounded in tropical rainforest and agricultural vegetation, biomass has the most potential as the alternative energy source in Malaysia. As mentioned before, remnants from agricultural products can be repurposed into fuels. Byproducts from the palm oil industry can be easily used as renewable energy source. Next, to provide an entire country with consistent power supply, a large-scale biomass energy production will be needed. As financial resources are required to develop various projects, many investors are reluctant to invest in bioenergy projects as it is considered as an infant industry with a high risk factor. Thirdly, let's discuss about the factors hindering the implementation of biomass in Malaysia. One of the main things to include is that biomass is not a clean source of energy. As burning of biogas creates air pollution, it can cause asthma, cancer, heart attacks, or even premature deaths to surrounding residents of the area. pollution from burning, this is because pollution from burning wood is just as bad as pollution from burning coal. Next, due to the lack of technical courses offered in Malaysia, there is a limitation.
Thank you, thank you. It's a good presentation, very energetic. I like this way.
I'm so sorry.
Just-
I'm so sorry for
So
that.
do you want to give him a chance to finish his slide?
Already a lot of information you have given because I have another two groups to go on, but I have some questions actually. As Francis concluded, like it's not a clean energy, but although it's not a clean energy, we still can consider it's a renewable energy, is it?
Yeah.
Eugene, I think you're talking about the.
Whatever.
Sorry, what is that?
It's okay.
That's why I said that. You tell me. I mean, correct me if you have
No, it's okay.
mispronounced your name because. Yeah. Eugene.
Yeah.
Okay, Eugene. Okay, so why did you say it's not a renewable energy?
I did not say it's not a renewable energy. I said it can be both renewable or non-renewable. Depends on two situations. One, how the quantity of the biomass is available, and two, the usage of biomass. So when the quantity of biomass available is greater than the usage of biomass, then it can be considered as a renewable energy source. But if the quantity of biomass available is lesser than the usage of biomass, then will be considered as non-renewable energy source.
So it's just your criteria of renewable, non-renewable is based on the usage.
Yeah. Based on the usage and the quantity available. It's like the solar energy.
So if I have something biomass,
Yeah.
mostly, okay, before that, where do you get the biomass from? Naturally,
Plants.
plants,
Non-living plants, yeah.
underneath the water, soil, right? Underneath,
Just burn the plants.
sorry,
We burn the plants.
to burn the plants.
Yeah, the raw material. The raw material is like
Usually biomass, we find it from underneath the soil, underground. How do you find the coal? How do you find the coal? Yes, underground.
yeah.
So coal is one kind of biomass as well. Is how do you
Fossils.
No. It's just stabilized there. It becomes stabilized, which is not stabilized. It's going to be stabilized, and that's why the torrefaction and then what is that other thing you say? Oh, go to this slide. I remember. Go to the slide. Go up.
So
Yeah, here, go down. Down. Yeah, this one.
coal-fired.
No, coal-fired.
Pyrolysis or coal-fired? So
No, yeah. This is the boiler, yeah?
Yeah.
Your biomass acts as substitute to a portion of fossil fuel.
Yeah.
So we can substitute fossil fuel,
yeah, only a portion.
but both of them, I was going to ask the question, but I already answered this question. The biomass and fossil fuel, both we are getting from the mines. You can say mines, underground.
Undergrounds.
Yeah. One is renewable, another is non-renewable.
I won't say coal is not renewable because coal you need a long time to make it. The coal, right? You need like, I don't know, thousands of years, maybe. I don't
Yeah,
know, to make
millions
it.
of years.
So if we imagine that coal could be renewable, like can be replenished, maybe in like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, then can you consider coal as non-renewable? It can be, it will be renewable in this way, right?
That's why I'm saying that. I mean, you're correct that that's why we consider biomass as renewable biogas, because the thing is that the torrefaction and all those things, the pyrolysis, we know this technique.
Yeah.
So we can produce that way.
Yeah, we know.
In that way, we can consider it a renewable. But you are just taking it underneath the underground. It's not renewable. You cannot replenish it that fast. That's the good thing. Okay, my question to Ian. You talk about the biomass, this and that, good, bad.
Yeah.
What is the energy density of biomass? Have you done the research? What is the energy density?
Energy density.
Yeah,
No,
from 1 kg of biomass, how much energy can you get?
sorry, I did not find the amount of energy.
Do you think that it is constant?
I think it can vary depending on what biomass.
Exactly.
Yes.
What biomass, how long,
Yeah.
how much stability it has, and how long do you store it oxidation, many things going on.
Yeah.
I didn't ask you to do that detail. I didn't also expect that much detail for you to know, but I'm just putting these questions forward that probably later on, if you are interested, you can think more about these things. Okay, and Francis, you're talking about the biomass in Malaysia. How much do you know? Do we know how much biomass can we extract naturally? Or currently, what is the practice?
Currently, there isn't much practice because I think
Yeah, slow.
can you repeat the question again?
What is the current amount Malaysian usage of biomass? Does Malaysia really use biomass?
I believe I read one article, but I didn't cite it here. It says that there are only a few places. It's not majorly dependent on biomass because they are very reluctant to switch from our current energy source to biomass.
Yeah. Okay. So that means there is no or almost none.
A few, but then it's close to none because it's not majorly dependent on biomass to supply energy to our country.
Okay. You are talking about biomass all over the Africa and then everywhere. How does this biomass actually help to produce electricity? Yeah, our concern was to produce the renewable electricity, right? So how does this biomass help to produce it?
That in most of these countries, we use electricity, but it's used elsewhere.
Okay.
In most cases, basically heated in the form of the charcoal that is those coal, the black coal. The black coal is normally heated out and used. Just as we see fireplaces.
So we get the heat energy from there.
Yes.
So this heat energy will be converted to electricity.
To electricity to just be used, the heat will be used itself.
To use for what?
The heat itself will be the one that will be used. And that's completely.
No. No. You are using this biomass in a factory, right? But you need that heat energy at your home. You're bringing the factory to your home or you're bringing the home to your factory?
So
None.
it's distributed.
How?
So once you have the electricity produced.
Exactly, that's my point. That how do you produce electricity then?
So he explained the process in which it was heated and.
What heated?
The plants and biomass.
Okay, and then?
Yes, they're heated and then they're converted into thermal energy, and that thermal energy is spilled to turbines. The turbines will be connected to grids, which are then distributed.
A little bit, there is a missing link for you. The thermal energy is not rotating the turbine. This heat is used for, who was explaining it? Yeah. So how it is happening? Can you explain?
So first, there's biomass. The biomass contains chemical energy,
Mhm.
and you burn the chemical and you burn the chemical energy. You burn the biomass in order to produce the heat, and the heat is absorbed by the water to turn into steam, and the steam is transported to the steam turbine to turn.
That is the most important thing, the steam. You are producing steam. You produce steam and then this steam is helping you to rotate the turbine. The heat itself is not doing that. Okay, thank you very much for your group. It was good, it was energetic. And another thing is, I like what I like about your presentation, that it was not very wordy, your slide, and you did not verbatim read from the slide. That is the good thing. Presentation shouldn't be read from the slide. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, next group. There are two groups, remember, one is nuclear, another one is wind. Who wants to go first? Do you have choice? You want to go first? Okay, wind is going. Wind wants to go.
Bhaja, you please wait. If we have enough time, I will give you a slot for you to finish up. Wait, okay, so nuclear is here. Oh, no, sorry. Wind is here. Wind is going to show their slides. Share your slide. Yep. Make it a slide presentation. It's coming. Turn it slow, I think. Okay, good. Right, so you'll start now. Do you need time? Do you need some time? All right, good. Like that. So your time starts now, 5:27.
Right. Hello, everybody. This is Usman, and I would like to thank our organizer, Mr. Berger, for giving us the chance to present our presentation. So this presentation will be about wind energy. So we will be talking about how the wind energy is converted into electric energy, which is like only through the windmills, right? The presentation, this is presentation for chemistry. Unit code is FSE10021. Can you move to the next slide? So before moving into the presentation, I just wanted to ask you if you guys have this question in your mind before. Imagine a world without a non-renewable energy source. How would our world look like? It will be like very pollution-free, very like clean environment. Sorry, it's about non-renewable. So we'll discuss about this question at the very end of the presentation, but right now we'll move to the next point. All right. Another question: how much are we dependent on non-renewable energy resources? Here, this graph shows that we are dependent about 37% on petroleum, natural gas 29%, coal 14%, nuclear electric power 9%. This part, renewable energy resource, is just only 11%, which is very less. We need to stretch it a bit, about 50%, in order to sustain our atmosphere, to make our atmosphere a lively place to live. To the next one. So let me introduce my group members to you: Marlisa, Alvina, and Sheikh Ashraf. He's online. He'll be joining us with the virtual MS Team link. Next. Here are the table of contents. As you can see, we'll be discussing about the introduction, what is wind energy, generation of electricity from wind energy, and then wind energy efficiency, advantages, and then last but not the least, challenges in using wind energy. So moving up to the introduction part. Wind is also known as the most cleanest renewable energy resource ever. All right. So how is this converted to electric energy? We'll discuss about that later, but we'll start with the formation. So when the wind currents are formed due to different atmospheric pressures, lower the wind currents flow from higher atmospheric pressures to lower atmospheric pressures, and these air currents turns the windmills, the propellers rotate, and this generates the electricity. But this is not as simple as it seems to be. Like this kinetic energy then converts to mechanical and then into electrical energy. So from here we know that we have a different transformation of energies from kinetic energy to mechanical and then to electrical. The sun plays an important role in this because we will not be focusing on the sun effects, but we have to mention because it spreads the wind currents throughout the earth unevenly. Can we move to the next slide? Okay, wind energy, this is basically the mechanism. Wind power or wind energy is described as the process by which the wind energy is used to generate mechanical power to electricity, as I have told you before. Wind turbines convert kinetic into mechanical and then into electrical energy. We'll discuss about the mechanism. Here is the detailed diagram of a windmill. As you can see, the wind is coming from here. These are the components of the windmills, which there is the motor, and then there is some slight of use of electricity, but the electricity is collectively used. Next. Okay, now we'll talk about the conversion of wind power into electric power. We can see that wind turns the propeller as the wind strikes to the propellers. The propellers rotate. As the propellers rotate, the generator, which is fixed inside the windmill, the motor of it generates the mechanical power, and this mechanical power is then converted into electricity, and then we can use the most cleanest and safest electricity that we can ever imagine. Next one. All right, this is all from me, and now I would like to introduce Sheikh Ashraf, who's joined us virtually. I'll pass the meeting over to him. Thank you.
And move on to the previous slide, please. Yeah, a bit more. Yeah, then skip it to the next slide. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Yeah. No, right after. Yeah. Yeah, thanks. So greetings, everyone. My name's Sheikh Ashraf Raj. First, I would like to thank Osman for introducing us to the topic of wind power and further explaining the conversion of wind power into electric power. And now that we have a bit of an idea about the topic, I would like to focus on the application of the whole process of gathering electricity for wind power and how all of us can use it. Okay, so can you move to the next, can you move to the previous slide, please? Yeah, right when I say to move, yeah, all right. Yeah, may I have the next slide, please? Yeah, click it one more time, yeah. Yeah, so, and yes, you have heard that, right? Do you hear the sound of the cache? Yeah. Oh, maybe there's a problem with the slides. Okay, anyways, hope you don't mind the animation, but my apologies to the others who didn't like it. Anyways, the aim of using that sound that you didn't hear is to let you all know that the question you're seeing on the screen right now is worth $1 million. Yeah, I'm saying that right. I'm saying this because if you know how to get access to the electricity generated from wind power, you may end up saving more or less than $1 million. Yeah, that's about right, as this process is much cheaper than the expensive ways we normally get access to electricity. So before I answer this question, I would like each of you to pay me $1 million. Like nothing's for free, you know? Okay, sorry for that. Hope you get the joke. Sorry about that. You don't have to pay me anything. I just wanted to catch some laughters, that's all. Anyways, let's get back to the main topic, shall we? So, the answer to the question is that if you can look at the picture right next to the question, you can tell that the process includes a few equipment to carry the electricity safely to us. And if I may add a bit more, that is, this equipment have certain roles to play throughout the process. Furthermore, the process itself follows a particular trend, which is a must. in order for this whole system to work. And let us make sure if it's really possible to get access to this wind power generated electricity. So allow me to walk you through the process. May I have the next slide, please? Thank you. As you can see, these are the steps that needs to be followed according to the Office of EF and RF, also known as the Office of Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy. Their studies shows that these 5 steps must be followed in a chronological order. In other words, in a consecutive order, like one after the other. You get me? To make this process work. So in step 1, yeah, is there any problem?
Yeah,
I can't hear you. Is there any problem?
No problem. 6 minutes.
Oh. So in step 1, the mechanical power is collected by all the turbines in a windmill. If you don't know what a windmill is, a windmill is basically an area stacked up with a number of wind turbines. It is especially created for the sole purpose of harnessing electricity from wind power. In step 2, generators will be used to convert mechanical powers into electrical power, and later it's sent across the transmission. Step 3, send across the transformer, Step 3, transformers receive AC, alternating current electricity at 1 voltage and increase or decrease the voltage to deliver the electricity as needed. Step 4, a substation links the transmission system to the distribution system that delivers electricity to the community. Last, in step 5, transmission lines carry electricity at high voltages over long distances for wind turbines to areas where the energy is needed. If you try and see the extreme left side, to the extreme left side of the slide, you will be able to see little images of the equipment along with a downward arrow, which means that the steps follows one after the other down the chain. So now you know exactly how can you successfully get access to the electricity from wind power. May I have the next slide, please? Thank you. By now, most of you may be having questions about the term turbine, as you keep on hearing it from me and also from viewing the slides. You keep on wondering, what is a turbine? What type of power does a turbine possess? Some of you, those who are very curious and may have gotten to such an extent and wondering, what is this turbine? Some sort of witchcraft or something? So I would like to tell you that I have all the answers to your assumptions, so please bear with me. I will make sure to make it as easy as possible. So I'm going to break it down in so I'm going to show you a video that will explain you all about it. Okay, can I have the next slide, please? Okay, so we have seen an calculation. We have seen a calculation that in the video that says that is about the wind power. So that was the calculation. Yeah.
Yeah. So do you want to give some time for your other 2 members, because they are waiting?
I'm almost done. So this is the equation for the wind power. And can you move to the next slide, please? Yeah, so here are some fun facts. So on your left, there's a picture of the person who invented the very first turbine, and that's his turbine, the very oldest and the very first turbine. And to your right side, excuse me, yeah, and to your right side, there's the tallest turbine, the biggest turbine, and the newest turbine, which is known as Heliade X. It is approximately the size of the Eiffel Tower, if you know what that size is. Okay, up to the next slide, please. Okay, so this is the efficiency calculation. So you can calculate with that equation, and that's the power efficiency rate of solar power, wind power, and fossil fuel. So as you can see, solar being the least and fossil fuel being the highest. So these percentages shows that fossil fuel is still the highest amount. It gives the highest amount of efficiency throughout the year. But what I can say is that these percentages doesn't matter if you consider the well-being of the environment. So that being just one of the pros that wind power is very eco-friendly. So I leave the rest to Marlisa to tell you more about the advantages.
Hi, so
Thank you.
Think about the advantages of wind energy. So wind energy is a clean source of energy as it is the most environmentally friendly ways to generate electricity. It does not produce hazardous pollution or greenhouse gas emissions such as nitrogen oxide and sulfur dioxide. I'm shaking. It also reduces the amount of electricity generation from fossil fuels, which results in lower total air pollution and carbon dioxide emissions. Wind energy is also free from fuel, which means that it does not run on fuel at all. Once it is completed, it does not has to be connected. It does not has to be connected to any kind of power source in order to generate electricity. It only runs from wind generated power. This lowers the overall cost of maintaining large-scale wind farms.
Marlisa, that since the time is up, just to give Elvina another 1 minute, I cut you here, and then Elvina, you can go to your part and then present, yeah? Because your time is up already. Okay, but I'm still giving you 2 minutes for you to finish.
I'll be talking about the challenges of using wind energy in Malaysia. So, first of all, Malaysia is unfavorable for harnessing wind power as it is situated in a region with low wind speed. Malaysia has an average annual wind speed of less than 2 meters per second, while a minimum speed of 4 meters per second is required for the wind turbines to generate electricity. Secondly, as wind speed varies with location and time, wind energy can only be used in limited areas and during certain periods. For instance, in coastal or windy areas and during early and late year. Thirdly, wind energy must still compete with conventional energy sources on a cost basis. The initial construction of wind turbines is costly, including fixed costs such as land rent, interest, and insurance. Another high risk is in case when regular maintenance is required. Similarly, wind energy development might not be the most profitable use of the land. The land suitable for wind turbine installation must compete with alternative uses for the land, which might be more highly valued than electricity generation. Also, wind turbines can cause noise and aesthetic pollution. A wind generator makes a low swooshing sound every hour each day, so it will be very noisy operating. Also, some may find a large expanse of land with wind turbines unsightly and boring. In addition, the lack of strong political will has resulted in a lack of government incentive to promote wind energy. Malaysia has a huge political bias toward fossil fuels, and the governments are more willing to subsidize private independent fossil fuel power generation companies than renewable energy development. This results in the lack of a robust regulatory framework. And lastly, it is worth mentioning the environmental impact of wind energy. Birds can be killed if they fly into spinning wind turbines, and wind turbines can also make bats lung expert. Similarly, when wind turbines are constructed on the seas, marine life and the ecosystem in surrounding water will be destroyed and threatened during and after construction. It will also interfere with radio and television signals. To conclude, wind energy will not be successfully harnessed in Malaysia in a short period of time. provided that the technology is immature and there's continued political interference and strong support for civil coordination.
All right, thank you, thank you. Yes, time's up. All right, so thank you for the presentation. My first question to you all, you did not optimize your presentation before you come here? You did not try? No trial?
We try, but like.
So can I say something?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, the thing is that it works well when you like do the slides on the app, but when you put it on the MS Team, it all messes up. I don't know why.
I don't understand your.
Like if you like our file, if you turn it on with the app, like the Microsoft PowerPoint app, it works well. The slideshow works well. But when you turn it on with the MS Team, like right now, it doesn't work well. Like it messes things up. I don't know the reason.
I mean, the MS Teams is showing what you are sharing. The MS Teams is not doing anything by himself or itself.
Yeah, but it was working. Like it's not working the same way we saw it working.
Optimize the thing through MS Teams. Yeah. How did you?
No, sir.
Yeah. How
we
did you?
We did it on the app.
Trial. How did you do the trial then? If you did not try all together, everyone together?
We probably did it individually with our own app, so we didn't do it in MS Team not in the first time. Yeah.
That is not the trial. This is a practice. That is not trial. And another thing, 29 slides. You came up for 15 minutes. Why? Yeah.
Most of them were images.
No, it's okay. I understand that somebody had. It was supposed to be for everyone, okay? But 29 slides. When there is 29 slides, you already know that you have only few. I have another group. Yeah. Oh my God. Yogit and Paul Chin. Wait a bit, yeah?
There's like 4 members in our team, so it's.
Yeah, 4%. Before this, you have so many excuses. Previously, they have another 4 people in the group. They managed to complete. Okay, so another what? Yeah, so my first objection is that you cannot have that many slides, right? 29 slides. At least best you could have 10 or 11 slides to present in 15 minutes. And you should have estimated time that, okay, myself 2 minutes, 4 minutes, he or she will present 4 minutes in that way. You should have, I thought that it would be, because I announced this for a long time ago, and I expected you will be doing the trial by yourself so that it would go small. Okay, so what else can I do? What else can I wanted to ask many questions, but the time is very short. Okay, so, now, do you have any question to ask?
Can we retry again in the next class, or is this our only chance?
Don't have any other time because today is supposed to be for the lab, right? I took out the time from the lab and then I started it. If you want to go for another, then I have to shift another lab. Because I don't think that you can go.
How are you going to grade our presentation marks based on just this?
I understood that you have worked 29 slides, that means you have worked quite much. And only the thing that I can see that there you didn't have a good coordination between yourself, your group members. But I got the gist from what you presented that you have done some research. You have done something. So my question to you all, one question that in Malaysia, if you want to implement this solar panel, right? which part do you think will be more suitable?
Cameron Highlands.
Why?
Because it's situated on the highland.
Okay. and
So it's windy, it's windier there, so it can produce, wind energy.
So, wait a minute. So on highland, you will produce more energy. Sorry, more rotation, more air flow.
Compared to if you were to build it here, right in the city.
Is it your idea or you have some fact to support your idea?
So we have a fact, like in my presentation, I told you that wind currents go from higher ATM atmospheric pressure to lower atmospheric pressure. So wherever in Malaysia where there atmospheric difference, we can put the windmills over there so that they can generate more and more electricity.
Okay, so in that way, why don't you put it in the sea?
In the sea?
Yes, sir. I was trying to say that.
Okay. So if you put in the sea, you can get 24-hour wind, is it?
Sir, can I say something?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, I've done researches and you can have like, there are windmills that are situated in the middle of the seas. So they can have maximum amount of the wind power. So that is why it's better in the seas than in highlands.
Better in the sea than highland. For production, how about the overall sustainability? Which one is more sustainable, sea or the mountain?
It's totally the sea.
Why?
Because it's like 24 hour. It's like getting the energy 24 hours.
Okay, you are thinking about the production of the, I told about sustainability. You are not considering the overall price, cost, maintenance, and then replacement, all those things.
Yeah, it's gonna be costly, but due to the amount of energy we're getting, so I think like there are now new generation. There have like very good windmills, so they're gonna be a lot of cost behind it, but then you can get a lot of energy too.
Yeah, so you are getting energy from the highland as well.
Yes, but the amount of cost is still gonna be pretty much high.
How do you know that?
Because
is it your gut feeling or you have some facts?
Oh, no, I did some researches. Well, let me just 1 minute.
Okay, so sorry, I cannot give more time. I have to go to the nuclear. I
just got it. So
Yeah.
payback depends on several factors, primarily over wind resources and size of turbine. What you pay and receive for your electricity and whether you obtain any sort of grants for the project. You should also have factor in maintenance cost and long-term prices increase above inflation for electricity. So that means that you don't, anyway in sea or in highlands, it's gonna cost you.
Yeah, of course it will cost, but which one is more severe to or more hard to maintain?
It's definitely the sea.
Yeah, that's the thing. But you are advocating for the sea then.
Because I was looking for the amount of energy we can get.
Depends on how big the size of the turbine you are setting up.
Yeah, and it also depends on what cost we are setting the turbine.
Yeah, so of course the installation cost is a fact as well.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, so but you're advocating for the sea then. For the coastal areas.
Yeah.
Yeah, without having appropriate or conclusive fact.
No, I was saying that for the amount of energy, but now if you're saying about the cost, then it's definitely the land area, like the higher up land.
I asked the question about sustainability, and then you say that C is better that way.
I missed the question, sorry.
Okay, no problem. So now we are going to the nuclear, that is Yogit and Paul Chin. Are you
Thank
guys
you, sir.
there? You're welcome, no problem.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me, sir?
So yeah, can you start showing? We have, sorry, we are almost time, but anyway, we have to finish this thing.
Okay, sir. Just give me a minute.
Yes, please. Guys, I know that it's almost 6, but for your friends. All right, so two of you are here, so start. Your
Okay,
time
so,
starts now, 5:57.
okay, so I'm going to be presenting nuclear energy, but today I have to say Amil Murtaza is not present, so I and Paul will be presenting her slides as well. Okay, now let's look at an overview. We have introduction, we have what is nuclear energy, nuclear fuel, nuclear fusion, and how a nuclear reactor works. I'll be taking part 2 and from 10 to 14, while Paul will take the rest. Now, what is now the introduction of nuclear energy? Nuclear energy can be used to create electricity, but it must first be released from the atom, and that's the process called nuclear fission. Atoms that are split to release energy, and then a nuclear reactor or power plant is a series of machines that can control nuclear fission to produce electricity, and the nuclear fuel. The fuel that the nuclear reactors use to produce nuclear fission is pellets of the element called uranium. Fission products can cause other uraniums to split up and starting a chain reaction, and the energy released from this reaction, it creates the electricity. And now Paul will be taking over. Paul?
Thank you, Yogi. Next, we will talk about what is nuclear energy. Nuclear energy is a form of energy released from the nucleus. Nuclear power is low carbon, unlike coal, oil, and gas power plants. It do not produce carbon dioxide. In nuclear power plant, radioactive rock will hit the water and produce steam that will spin turbine to generate electricity. Besides that, nuclear power allow geographical area to produce energy. Okay, next slide.
Can you please speak a bit louder?
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Next, we talk about nuclear fuel called uranium. It can generate heat to power turbine. Ceramic pellet and are made from uranium fuel, and this ceramic pellet will press in a metal fuel rod. Okay, next slide. After that is nuclear fusion. Nuclear fusion is when two or more nucleus collide together with high speed and form a new nucleus. For example, two hydrogen nuclei fused together will form the nucleus of a helium. This will happen in star. Next slide. Next part, we talk about nuclear fission. Nuclear fission is the splitting of a big atomic nucleus into smaller nuclei. A neutron is absorbed into a nucleus in a nuclear reactor. Next slide. In this slide, we can see how a nuclear reactor works. First, the uranium fuel will release heat and produce steam. The steam will put the turbine to turn the generator to produce electricity. we can see that to avoid the uranium fuels become too hot, the steam will go through the condenser before go back to the steam generator. Next slide.
Can you hear?
Next, we talk about energy efficiency of nuclear power as compared with another sort of energy. We can see that nuclear is the most efficient sort to produce energy. It is more higher than wind and solar power, even geothermal power, although it is clean sort of energy. Okay, next I will pass to Yogi.
So I'll be talking about the advantages of nuclear energy, and it has quite a few advantages. The first is low cost energy. The cost of producing electricity from nuclear energy is substantially cheaper than the cost of producing electricity from gas, coal, or oil. And we have reliable power source. So while certain energy sources such as solar and wind power are subject to weather conditions, nuclear energy is not. And we have we have a promising energy future. Nuclear energy currently decreases annual emissions by 500 million metric tons. And we have a high energy density. The amount of fuel used by nuclear power plants is significantly less than the other power plants. Impacts of nuclear energy on the environment is that nuclear power plants create a lot of positive impacts of nuclear energy is it has low carbon emissions and it reduces the exploitation of fossil fuels, and it's more efficient than other forms of renewable energy. And the negative impacts are radioactive waste. Even low-level radioactive waste takes radioactive waste takes hundreds of years to achieve adequate levels of safety, and it uses high water consumption. Nuclear reactors use about 1,000 liters of water, if not even more. And it's drawn from the sources like wells, rivers, and ocean bodies. And then the water used to create steam and to power the turbine is eventually pumped back into the body of the water where it originated from, and it's pumped back with higher temperatures and can cause potential risk to aquatic life. And we have carbon emissions. And nuclear power stations emit no greenhouse gases when in operation, and over the length of the life, they emit roughly the same amount of carbon emissions as wind. And one-third of the emissions of electricity produced by solar. Sorry about that. Economic benefits of nuclear power. Its operating cost is low and will continue to decrease as technology advances. Nuclear power facilities are costly to construct, but they're relatively inexpensive to operate. The expenses of waste disposal and decommissioning are typically included in the operational cost. And according to research conducted by the Nuclear Energy Institute, the nuclear power sector has lowered its producing cost by 19% since their peak in 2012. And generating nuclear power will decrease the dependence on foreign oil. Today's globally energy supply system is not sustainable, and given the predicted energy demands, so countries like France, Saudi Arabia, Canada, and South Korea are among the nations that have witnessed the fastest reduction in carbon intensity and clean energy transition through their nuclear reactors. And uranium fuel is comparatively cheap to coal or natural gas. So uranium has the benefit of being highly concentrated energy source. The amounts required are far fewer than those required for coal or oil. A kilogram of natural uranium produces 20,000 times the amount of energy as a kilogram of coal. And the social aspect of nuclear energy. Nuclear power facilities provide long-term employment and high need for specialized personnel than other forms of energy. And according to the Nuclear Energy Institute, a nuclear power plant creates 400 to 700 permanent jobs and also thousands of jobs during its construction. And nuclear power plants have some of the least detrimental effects on human health when they are compared to other energy sources. They significantly enhance air quality and minimize pollution. And according to NASA and Columbia University, nuclear energy may have saved 1.8 million lives that were being lost to pollution from other energy sources. And coal and natural gas power plants discharge carbon dioxide into the air, which causes a number of environmental issues. And now the disadvantages of nuclear energy. It costs a lot to build. Nuclear power facilities cost billions of dollars to construct and take significantly longer than any other renewable energy infrastructure or non-renewable energy infrastructure. It's often more than a decade. And it can be weaponized, and this nuclear energy is an immense power. And today, nuclear energy can be used to make weapons, and if these nuclear power plants get into the wrong hands, it can be catastrophic. The availability of uranium, as we all know, uranium is a very scarce resource that only exists in a few parts of the world, and the top uranium providers are Kazakhstan and Australia and Canada. And the nuclear accidents, like many people reject nuclear energy because they are afraid of nuclear meltdowns, which are extremely rare to occur. The general public understands that if a nuclear power plant fails, it may fail catastrophically, like the Fukushima tragedy in 2011 and the Chernobyl disaster in 1986. And it takes a long time to build. It takes more than a decade for fully functioning nuclear power plant and requires very heavy financial investing up to billions of dollars. Now, what are the limitations or challenges in using nuclear power in Malaysia? So the project's public acceptability, a proper regulatory framework is in place, the ratification of relevant international treaties by Malaysia, and approval of NPP nuclear power plant locations with input from the local community. But currently, Malaysia has no commercial nuclear plants for electricity generation at the moment. It's currently working towards meeting the prerequisites for successful finance and managing a very complicated construction process, which are the two most significant obstacles of developing a nuclear power plant station today. And according to a report done in 2017, Malaysia's government is working hard to enhance the present regulations with a new draft set to be introduced to replace the current Atomic Energy Licensing Act. And it's also made a very robust and public communication and engagement strategy, and also it includes a high priority on human resource development. Thank you.
All right, thank you. You're before the time. Yeah, done. So first of all, your group member, Amal Yaruk, once again, how much she prepared for this presentation?
So she prepared the first 4 slides.
First 4, can you please go to that slides?
Sure, sir. Sir, can you see the slides?
Yeah, but I want to see the first 4 slides. What are the slides? Introduction, then what needs nuclear energy, nuclear fuel?
Yeah, from the first slide till this slide, she has created all of it.
Oh, okay. And then go to the next slide. Nuclear fission. Who prepared this thing?
Sir, Paul.
Sorry?
Paul.
Paul. Okay. So any question anybody has to them, this group?
If nuclear energy is a renewable source, if you go back to the disadvantages, it did state that the availability of uranium. So does that mean like uranium is available? It's not available in some source. If that's the case, then why is it called renewable energy? Uranium is.
So for you, one question, I probably couldn't hear him clearly. That I mean, if the uranium has to be taken from the mine and it is depleting, how can you suggest or say that nuclear energy is renewable?
So actually, nuclear renewable is, I think, recently classified as a non-renewable energy because, as you said, that uranium is depleting, and as of now, we only have about 70 to 80 years of uranium element left in the world, uranium fuel left in the world.
So it is not renewable.
No, sir.
Okay,
No,
so
sir.
it's not renewable energy then. Yeah. Because only 70, 80 years. Can you
Yes.
Can you tell me the source?
Source is World Nuclear Association.
Nuclear Association?
World Nuclear Association.
World Nuclear Association. Year? Oh, do you have this source in your slide at the end of the reference list? Any other question anybody has for nuclear? You're shaking hands, so you have to ask a question. Oh, I thought you said yes. I thought that was a yes. So ask a question. See, you didn't listen. I know that you didn't listen. Okay, so my question is, how do you prepare the nuclear fuel to be suitable to be used in those type of nuclear, what is that called? That sorry, power plant. Yes.
So the making of nuclear fuel is a very long and complicated process, but to just give
Of
you
course,
a
it's
history
very
of it.
complicated thing, but I just want to know how. How do you do
Oh,
that?
yeah. Yes, sir. I'm telling you, sir. So basically, the uranium is transported to a fuel fabrication. So I think it's then converted into uranium dioxide powder, and then from there, so it goes under the process of enrichment, and then it goes under another process.
Uranium is a powder?
Oh, no,
Or
no,
it's what form we find it in the nature?
it's like a hard rock, sir. So it's probably
It's a
hard
rock,
metal.
or it's a metal, or it's a gas, powder, what?
It's probably a metal, sir. So hard, like ceramic material metal.
Okay. Yeah, and then you have to enrich it to uranium oxide. And then?
So you have to enrich it to uranium oxide, and then it goes under a further complicated process and turns into nuclear pellets, which are then used as fuel. So.
Oh, okay. So that's it. You have to just prepare it to uranium oxide and then pellets, and then it can produce the energy. Is it?
And not so that's a whole other process. It's a very, like I said, it's a very complicated process. I only read the gist of it, and I'm telling you what I understood from that the process. Sir.
Okay. So another thing, my question is, Oh, how much nuclear fuel is needed to produce energy?
How much nuclear fuel?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know the exact amount, sir, but I don't know the exact amount, but the nuclear fuel can last for about 2 to 3 years when it's when there's nuclear when you put a nuclear pellet or something. When the nuclear fuel is loaded inside the nuclear reactor, the nuclear reactor can last about 2 years without refueling.
That's good. Yeah. So, question to Paul. Hello, you listening, Paul?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, for the nuclear energy, production of the nuclear energy, is there, did you talk about you talk about the disadvantages, right?
Sir, I talked about the disadvantages, sir.
Okay, no. So my question to Paul, which part did you present, Paul?
So,
Okay, nuclear fission, yeah, the reaction, nuclear fission, right? So here you are doing, can you just explain very briefly in 1 minute? I have just 2 minutes to finish. I want to learn from 1 minute and another minute I ask question. Can you just explain me what is happening here, Paul?
In this nuclear fission, the atomic nucleus will turn into smaller nuclei.
What? Undo?
The atomic nucleus will turn into smaller nuclei. That's mean nucleus fission. Like
Well,
in this.
How come they are becoming smaller?
They will happen the collision.
Collision?
Yeah.
So this collision is happening from between these two or between what? Collision is happening between whom? What things?
Between that uranium with the
So it should always be uranium. Can we use any other thing to have the collision?
Actually can.
What? No, your preparation is not good, Paul. From your reading the slide, I understand that you were struggling to read, to pronunciate the name and the words. So you should have taken a bit better preparation, yeah? It would be good in that way. So thank you very much, everyone. And Vaja, I'm sorry we're over time and we cannot proceed today. So I'll see you next class. And I will see when I can give you a chance.
Okay, sir, no problem.
Sorry? Yeah, sure. Okay, so bye-bye, everyone. Take care.
Thank you very much. Good day, sir.
All right, you too.
Sir?
Yeah, who is it?